That's good. Ready to go whenever you are.
Hi everybody, Dr. Howard Cohn here at the Cohn Health Institute, and welcome to this segment of the Go Beyond Summit. We're excited about this part. We are with our good friend, Dr. DrKarkora, naturopathic doctor, and just a phenom in the field of athletic and human performance, not just for the high-level athlete, which he's become well known for, but also that weekend warrior who's just looking to do better in that game with their friends, or run a little faster, or just hurt a little less when they're doing it. So, and we have our good friend Heidi, who is a patient of Dr. Karkora's and an athlete herself with a tremendous history in the as a triathlete and as a marathoner, and now what she's doing now she's going to share, and she's this kind of a lifestyle, as you know, brings you to see these kinds of practitioners, not just to go beyond, but to continue to operate at this high level. So, Dr. Karkora, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We are looking forward to finding out all about what you do and how unique it is. There's some things that you do that many of our viewers might have heard about, but it's the unique combination and the system that you do, which has gotten people very excited. And Heidi, thanks for being here. What's your story? What brought you into Dr. Karkora, and what's been your experience so far?
Well, I am an athlete actually, and I am performance focused. I want to get good results, and I was actually noticing that my stomach was hurting every night, and I have a very good diet, so very strict, and I'm thinking, why is my stomach hurting every night all the time? So I ended up getting a referral somehow to Dr. Karkora, the Cohn Institute, and I came in, and then after just the one session, I got some products, and then that night my stomach I wasn't just doubled over, and then the next day I could literally feel like my energy had come up, and it was just not bloated and just so painful as it normally had been. So I noticed results immediately. And then we started doing the allergy testing with all the food, and it turns out I'm sensitive to so many things that I love, my favorite foods.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like doing the kombucha thinking that the probiotics were good for me. I'm really sensitive to yeast, and so that was just setting me off. And then the nuts and everything, I'll go save you the long story, but I'm on the right path, and just knowing that I have somebody who's listening to me, that is listening to my body, and doing just those little teeny tiny shifts will make a huge difference in my daily life and in my performance as an athlete.
So that's awesome. So tell me, Doc, what did you do here? Like, I know you're going to walk us through a little bit about the process, and Heidi's going to be our demo for that.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of reenact some of this. But just like, what did you do, and how did you start here?
Well, I think Heidi comes in with such a common issue of people, especially in Orange County, who really think they've got it together in terms of what they're eating. You know, It's like, I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, I'm free of everything, but yet still having these, stomach pains, or, whatever the issue might be. It's different for everyone. So for Heidi, it was really, all right, let's dive right into this allergy work called NAET, developed by Dr. DrKarkora, and find out which of these very common foods, like vitamin C, vitamin B, all these different things that were actually setting her off. And like Heidi mentioned, she's also very, she's results driven, she's performance driven. And so one of the things that we did on her was BioPrint, which is just a phenomenal tool developed by Charles Poliquin. And he actually developed it working with professional hockey players. So right away, talking about the athletic population, he found it to be a non-invasive method of basically finding out a hormonal profile, finding out which areas of the body were keeping people back from reaching their optimal performance levels. So without being invasive, and that was the great thing, and it was matching up with all of these lab results. So for Heidi, it was perfect. We went through, we did the 14 sites on the body, which I'll show you a couple of them.
Okay.
And looking at each site and what it stood for, we're able to get a really good base for Heidi in terms of body fat percentage, but more importantly, which area is keeping her from reaching her best self.
So BioPrint is not like getting that caliber tested at my gym and
Right.
tell me where I'm fat, like I don't know. But it's telling us a lot more about the depth of not just where our body's not functioning at a level it is, but also strategies of things that we should be looking at to go beyond, go to the next level. And I know that you correlate other things. So can you just walk us through that, the bioprint process? Because
Absolutely.
a lot of our viewers are not necessarily familiar with it. I know I wasn't in the beginning. I kind of vaguely heard of it. I've heard good things, but to see the changes that happen with people and you helping them break through is kind of cool. So yeah, show us.
Absolutely. So first of all, there are these fabulous, scary-looking, torturing calipers that are extremely accurate. They're not the plastic ones that you used in high school. And again, we do 14 different sites on the body, put it into a computer system that kind of generates what's out of range for her. So not somebody who's her same height, her same weight, but really for her body. So I'll show you a couple of the sites. So Heidi, if you stand up for me. So one of the sites that we do on most people that's pretty fascinating, I'm gonna have you face that direction and then put this hand on your hip, is the subscap reading, so right underneath the shoulder blade. And when we do this reading, now hers is amazing, it's a 5.6, congratulations Heidi, you manage your blood sugar quite well. But this is a genetic actually reading that tells us how well somebody manages their blood sugar. If we can get them below a 10, we know that things that they're eating, they're managing pretty well insulin-wise, so another hormone that we look at. Heidi, I'm gonna have you stay right there. This reading is on the tricep, and this one is a 14.2, so we could probably get a leaner, I mean, Heidi's extremely lean, as you can see, but this is one of the readings that actually came up for her, and this is a way of managing the DHEA and testosterone. What that means is how strong and fast, and all the athletes are wanting to optimize their testosterone. And when athletes get stressed, when athletes are overworked or too tired, those numbers start dropping. So what other ways can we find out how to measure and track that for them?
And you can make real changes here. A lot of people go, oh, that's my arms, and my grandma had those arms.
Right.
This is my thighs,
yeah,
exactly. That's my dad had this. But it's not always that case, is it?
No, absolutely not. And the readings can change week to week, which is fantastic. I mean, just with little tweaks with different herbs, and we'll walk into that in a second.
Cool. Very cool.
But yeah, we can do weekly weekly progress checks to find out how these things are moving and if we're on the right track. And athletes and general population executives, they're all about progress and tracking, and lets me make sure those numbers are going in the right direction. The last thing I'm going to show you is, I'm going to have you go on your stomach for me, sweetie. And that is the hamstring reading. And this is actually an area that Heidi herself, it's right here on the hamstring, and then of course we minus the hands. And this reading is all about toxicity. You can sit up. And the toxicity reading is actually one of the things we were working on with Heidi. So she's like, yes. So in terms of toxicity, the hamstring and the legs, they tend to stand for estrogens, and not the estrogens that we think of as great in the body, but things that we're taking in from our environment that are storing that way. And then we know that the liver and the gallbladder and some of these other organs are going to be struggling. So it's just another way of finding out how we can eliminate those factors, help those organ systems, so that she can get even more shredded and ready for her next race.
I love it. I love it. And obviously you said there's 14.
Right.
So there's a lot of different ones.
A lot of different ones. We won't do all 14 sites right now, but every single one stands for something else. And when we plug them into the system, she's a very lean 15.6% body fat, so that's excellent. But still, for Heidi, she wants to get a little bit lower. And also, the profile that came up for her matched exactly what she had been talking about, which was these leg readings, and looking at toxicity is one of the first things that we're going to start to improve on her.
I love it. Before we jump off bioprint and go on to, let's say, what we would do next.
Sure.
Let's say I'm 275-pound, football player, watching this, wondering, I wonder how that would help me with my game. With that kind of individual, what are some of the things you would see there that you wouldn't see in a Heidi that you would be totally looking for?
Sure. So, I mean, this, like I said, this program was developed for hockey players, and we had since been using it on a ton of NFL players when I was back in Chicago and here, and it's one of those things where they're still looking for that edge. They're still looking for that higher amount of energy, that better night of sleep, that whatever gives them the more explosive power. And all of that, it's great then to know the body fat percentage, but more so let's look at, the knee as a growth hormone site, and it also looks at sleep. So if that football player's knee is one of the first readings, or let's say the recovery profile shows up, that's their first out of range for them, we know that in order for this football player to improve his game, he has to recover. He's got to recover better from his workouts, better from his sleep, better from all of those things. And that's something that we can find from doing the bioprint that doesn't necessarily have to be improving body fat percentage.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Give me a story. I know that it's one that just comes to mind. I don't put you on the spot. We've seen a lot of people though. So give me somebody where you didn't do anything other than the bioprint with
Yeah.
them, and you found something, made a recommendation off it, and it really changed their game.
Sure, absolutely. Back in Chicago, I had to talk about an athlete, a phenomenal athlete, top personal trainer, Michigan Avenue, downtown Chicago, and he was also a nail bender. That's a big sport, by the way. So he,
Wow.
and he was strong as all get out and lean. I mean, he was, 15% body fat. And we did bioprint on him, and all of his stuff came up around blood sugar and inflammation. It was just tons of inflammation. And he had a lot of actually the same similar problems. His stomach hurt a lot. And so we did bioprint on him every single week, 12-week program.
Wow.
Made little tweaks based off where the numbers were going. He shredded from 15.8% to 5.8%. I mean, a solid 10%
Wow.
in 12 weeks, and never felt better. So now how that shifts to his nail bending is that he felt better to train more. I mean, he didn't wake up and have to struggle to get out of bed. I mean, it was all aspects of his life. And it was a combination of just, and I know we're going to talk about emotional work and allergy, but this was none of that. This was just changing some food, implementing some solid supplements that tested for him, and it was perfect. It was awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people are watching right now going, how do I get in to see her right now? You don't need to talk to me about anything else. And I'm thinking, when am I going to get my appointment? So very cool, very cool. So what happens next? I know we talked about NAET, we talked about NET, and really what happens even with the next level stuff you're doing with some of these great